So in the last video, I sort of worked my way up wiring up the color picker, and in retrospect, I probably maybe it's better to always start from the top at the interface level and work your way down because I really made a lot of bad assumptions down at the camera. I mean, at the common component level, and it would have caused a lot of extra work if I'd have stayed that way. But anyways, I changed it. But as you can see, it's working now, and we can change the background colors of these things, and it's pretty coolio. Pretty happy with that. Um, so, anyways, yeah, that's cool. So, as I was digging into how the scene coloring works, is basically a red, green, and blue are a number from 0 to 100, and if you're going to do RGB, and so that it was good to find out. But and it changed the way, and it actually simplified the heck out of things. So next, I'm going to kind of continue and work my way down. Let me hit the play. 1 minute and 20 seconds extra. Um, so let me go in this other view here and get my scene manager going and expand it. And scene manager was not the one I wanted to do. I wanted to do the Three.js service. All right, so basically we import the Three.js service, and then we create a scene item, and we set a number from 0 to, or we default it to 0, so it's all black by default. And then I go with the pattern of creating a private signal and a public signal, or private writable signal, and a public signal that's not writable that ends with the word values. Um, and then I have a basic setup scene function that sets up the RGB. It takes the number that's passed in and divides it by 255. And actually, I misspoke. It's not a 0 to 100, it's 0 to 1. So 1 is full on the color, and 0 is none of the color. Um, and to make that work with regular RGB, you just divide it by 255. I learned that from ChatGPT. Um, anyways, the update scene, and then I added a function called update scene that's to be called that can be called, and we'll do that. I also added this shallow cloning, and I think this actually might have been my problem when I was saying in a couple videos back that I couldn't get the matte tables to work. I think cloning might actually be the answer to that issue. Hopefully, that would be cool because I would love to get matte tables set up in lights. So let's go ahead and move on to the toolbox component. That's sort of so the at the higher up in the architecture, and basically I just call the setup scene in here. So basically, whenever we get the initialized signal that tells us that it's been initialized, then we set up the camera and then we set up the scene, which I think makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now to move down the architectural hierarchy, we'll go to the scene manager, and the scene manager basically used to have a color, like kind of a color string, but now it just has a red, green, and blue that's initialized to 0. We import the Three.js, and we create our own local scene variable. And then in the constructor, whenever we get our scene values signal, then we set the local red, green, and blue values. And I think that's pretty clean and elegant. Um, so I think that works. And then I have a specific handler for red color changes, green color changes, and blue color changes. And they all do basically the same thing, just based on that. So it might have made sense to pass that in as like an additional parameter or argument, and then kind of add complexity to these. I think when there's 3 of them, we're right at the borderline. I think if there was 4, probably it'd be worth it. And It's kind of, I don't think this would fail like any linting or any static code analysis because it's changing something different in each case. Um, so this should be okay. I think so. Let's go ahead and get rid of this console log. Um, and oh man, I lost my coloring. Um, but because it just reloaded. Um, but okay, so now we have our scene manager. So I'm going to go to the scene manager markup. So now we basically have all of our signals that are coming in. It's the blue, green, and red. And then we have all our event handlers coming out, which is a red update, green update, and blue update. And these are the functions that we were just talking about. Methods, functions, I'm not sure exactly. I think it's methods because I think that's technically part of an object. Um, but anyways, let's go to the color picker TypeScript. So here's where we set up our inputs. And because I used the little I and I didn't use it as a direct rater like before, it is a signal coming in and it is strongly typed to be a number. And then we have our outputs for each one of them. And those are event emitters. This is the output decorator. And basically we emit either a red, green, or a blue. And then we have our update color. And in here I do more, I get the color back in and I have strongly typed it to either red, green, or blue. And then over here I say if it's update, red update, green update, blue update. Um, so uh, that's kind of an example of doing it that way. Um, and then in the color picker, basically I pretty much had to just add, yeah, like parentheses to these because now they're signals. And that worked. I mean, basically just adding parentheses to everything. Um, and I think that's kind of the theme of using signals in general, but it's pretty cool. And so now we are free to change the background color of, let's see what happens if I do this. There's my chat GPT. It's so weird. I don't lost my browser. There it is. Um, there we go. And I'll just reload. And then we'll go ahead and add a couple of meshes. We're just going to put this at 1, 1, 1. Maybe -1 would be cooler looking. And then I think that is pretty cool. Let's see. So now we can go into our scene and we can just play with the colors, try to find something nice. It's a nice gold color. It's like a yellow. And that's pretty cool. And let's see. There we go. Add another mesh. Check that. Add another mesh. And make this -1 and 1 and -1. And we got 3 with a gold background. So yeah, so that's that. And then next we will, the next thing I'm going to do is get it to where you can choose different meshes. Right now I'm using something called, let's go to the ThreeJS service. I'm using something called a mesh normal material, which does not care about color or light. And then there's another one called a mesh basic material. and that one cares about color, but it doesn't care about light. And then there's another one called a mesh Phong. It's a Phong. That one cares about color and light. So then it can cast shadows and things like that. And so basically, next thing I think I'll do is add the ability to update the um, material type. So you have 3 types of materials that you can use, and then also add the ability to update the color. Um, and then, and I guess I'll probably make the color conditional. So if you choose the mesh normal material, you won't get a color. But anyways, that's about my that's my time's up, and that's awesome. And happy coding. Bye.